Hey, what's going on, you guys? My name is The Raptor, and welcome back to another one of my Death Battle prediction videos. It really doesn't feel like that long since I've done one of these, and that's because the last one I did was Batman vs. Black Panther, or I guess Black Panther vs. Batman now. But yeah, now we're moving on to the next Death Battle. They revealed it at the end of Black Panther vs. Batman, and it's Raven vs. Twilight Sparkle. Now, some of you guys that have been around the channel long enough, and you've seen my prediction/rant about Deadpool vs. Pinkie Pie, some of you guys may be expecting me to, like, bring out another rant, or you might think that, you know, I don't want this, which is totally fair, because, you know, I kind of really didn't, I really didn't like the concept of Deadpool versus Pinkie Pie, but I'm really not upset this time around. I think last time, there was really no reason for me to get so upset last time. I think it was probably just because, you know, I really didn't like it, at least back then. I didn't really like it when they were bringing back returning characters, and, you know, for something, if they were to bring back a returning character, I would have wanted them to at least make the fight good. And when they did Deadpool vs. Pinkie Pie, even though those are characters, that do have some similarities, I would have preferred a better fight for Deadpool if they were to bring him back. But I ended up enjoying that fight anyway. I thought it was really funny. So yeah, I'm really not going to get upset this time or anything like that. I'm just going to do a straight prediction. And this time around, I don't think that this is going to be a joke fight. Obviously, we know that Deadpool vs. Pinkie Pie was a joke fight through and through. You know, they became friends or whatever, and no one actually died. This time, however, especially since it's so early in the season, I don't think they're going to be doing another joke fight, or at least this might be more jokey, but I do think that they are going to have a winner, much like Smokey the Bear versus McGruff the Crime Dog. I think this might be a bit more of a jokey fight, but I do think that there is going to be a winner. Now I'm just going to say this right up front. I know much more about Raven than I ever did Twilight Sparkle, than I do know about Twilight Sparkle. I've never watched My Little Pony, and I don't know a lot about the characters. But even when it comes to Raven, I feel like I don't have the extensive knowledge that Death Battle requires. I did have to research her one time for a battle that I did on my own channel, but I really, again, it's not really to the same extent that Death Battle is done, and I kind of forget all of that research that I did. I did do a bit more research on both of these characters, actually, before I filmed this episode, or not episode, video, so I could get some background on the characters and have at least a prayer of trying to make some sense out of the two characters and their abilities. However, if you're one of those guys that, you know, come for a prediction video to see, you know, me analyze them very, very deeply, because I know, like, everything about them, then this probably isn't the video for you. I'm just using my limited knowledge and just giving my own personal thoughts and predictions on what I think could or would happen in this battle. So yeah, I guess we'll just get right onto it. Now, in terms of how this video is going to go, I'm not going to be going over, you know, like, I'm not going to go over, like, what Raven can do, and then what Twilight Sparkle can do, or whatever, and then do the conclusion, or whatever, and that's totally not because, you know, I'm doing this under limited time. No, but seriously, I'm more or less just gonna go into who I think would actually win this fight, and then talk about what they bring to the table and why I think that this character is over this character in terms of those categories. So yeah, this is probably the quickest thing yet, even though we're already like 3.5 minutes in. But yeah, so who do I think is going to win this one? Both of these characters can actually do a lot that are similar. Both of them can shoot powerful blasts, both of them can teleport, both of them have telekinesis, both of them, you know, and the connection between the two is, you know, they're both, you know, cartoon, or at least not always cartoon for Raven, but they're magic users, purple magic users that are voiced by Tara Strong, which is something I didn't even really notice that they had that number of connections, until after I saw other people talking about it, so that's cool. But they do have a lot of similarities. You know, they can both fly, they both have ways into getting people's heads, they can both cast spells, you know, magic and everything like that. So they do have some similarities. If they were just using Teen Titans Go Raven, or the original Teen Titans Raven, then I definitely think that Twilight Sparkle would win this fight. And the only reason why I bring this up is because when it comes to the clips that they used in the preview, like the next time on Death Battle or whatever, they used Raven from Teen Titans. However, knowing Death Battle, I know that they're not just going to be using those shows, they're going to be using, you know, from the canon sources, the comics, overall, in terms of what Raven can do. They might use a lot lot of clips in the battle from those shows, because, you know, they're easy clips to use, and they're what a lot of people are familiar with, but I know that they're going to be diving into the comics as well. And when I look at all of that, I honestly do believe that Raven is going to be the winner of this fight. And this could honestly just be my personal biases. And I'm not talking about, you know, like, oh, you know, I love Raven so much, you know, she's gonna stomp out Twilight Sparkle, or maybe that is the case and I'm just not aware of it. But I mean more so in the sense that I don't know a lot about Twilight Sparkle. I've seen a lot more of what Raven can do. I've seen, you know, some of her feats, you know, and I know more what she's capable of, and that might automatically make me think that she is more powerful than Twilight Sparkle. And I know that last time I went, like, because, like, in my prediction for Deadpool versus Pinkie Pie, I went with Deadpool, and that might have honestly been because of bias, now that I look back at it. But look how far that got me that time. And I really don't want to be wrong here, because I literally just evened out my prediction record. For those of you that don't know, I've always been behind in terms of my prediction record. I've always had more incorrect predictions than correct, and I just tied it up with Black Panther versus Batman, because I predicted it correctly. So I really don't want to get this one wrong. And, you know, I was a bit reluctant to do this video because, again, you know, I'm thinking I don't know that much about Twilight Sparkle, and there's always going to be people in the comments that are saying, you know, like, oh, if you don't know a lot about these characters, why the heck are you even making a prediction? But, you know, guys, if you want to go find someone that knows a lot about the characters, then go do that. I'm just doing this for fun. But I do honestly believe that Raven would be the winner of this fight from the limited knowledge I know about both of the characters. And I'm going to do a fair analysis on both, or at least what I consider fair. I'm not just going to say why Raven is so much better. Again, I'm not like that. I don't want to come across as someone, you know, like a DC fanboy or anything like that, even though I am wearing kind of like a Flash shirt. If any of you haven't noticed, Barry Allen Multiverse All-Star, which is probably not the right shirt I should have wore for this. But the point is, I'm not going to try to, like, say Raven's so much better because of this or this. I'm going to bring out everything I know about these characters, or at least, maybe not going too specific, but in terms of, like, the advantages they may have over the other, I'm going to try to bring out as much as I can about those and explain why I think that Raven will win, because you've been waiting a long time, and I should probably get to that. So, first, let's talk about some of the advantage that I feel Twilight Sparkle has over Raven. I do feel that Twilight Sparkle is more intelligent, and again, I know this just basically from some Google searches or whatever. It seems to me like overall, Twilight Sparkle is just more intelligent overall. I know Raven is very intelligent in terms of, like, her magic and her spells, but based on what I've looked at, it looks like Twilight Sparkle is just more intelligent in terms of everything, like, overall. She's just smarter. Not sure if that really translates to strategy or anything like that, but I do think that overall she is probably smarter. And I also think, and I could be completely wrong about this, but I also think that Twilight Sparkle overall is more versatile. After looking up, you know, all the abilities that she can do a lot. Like, from when I think back to Raven, Raven can do a lot, but not to the extent in terms of, like, oh, she can, like, pull this out of the air, or do all of these crazy things, or whatever. She can do crazy things, like she has telepathy, telekinesis, teleportation, flight, you know, shooting magic beams, and, you know, getting into people's heads, you know, with her empathic powers or psionic abilities. But I just feel that overall, from what I looked at with Twilight Sparkle, at least from what she's been able to do, maybe if it's even just, like, once in the show, I think that overall she can just do more. Like, she has, like, a heat spell, and, you know, she even has a way to, you know, get inside people's heads and make people stop doing something. It's almost like decision-making for other people, which could actually be a problem for Raven, who knows. But she also has just a lot of other abilities. Like, I believe she can shoot blasts out of her horn, and she can fly, and I'm just drawing a huge blank right now on everything that she can do. But overall, I do think that she just brings more to the table in terms of versatility. Those are the two main advantages that I feel that Twilight Sparkle has over Raven. Then again, there is Toon Force, and that's kind of tricky. I'm not really sure how they're going to take that into account. And like I said, I haven't watched the show, so I'm not sure how much Toon Force she actually uses. And they did do it with Deadpool versus Pinkie Pie, so if Pinkie Pie can use it, then you know, Twilight Sparkle should probably be able to use it too, maybe to the same extent, because, you know, they're from the same universe. Then again, they might have just done that because it was a joke fight. I'm not really sure. We're just gonna have to wait and see. But that's like a wild card. That could almost give her, like, I don't know, like, infinite durability. Again, I'm really not sure how well she can use it. Some cartoon characters have been shown to be able to use it, or they've just demonstrated it more often than others. But yeah, that's just how I see it. But now let me talk about the reasons why I feel that Raven would win this fight. First, let's talk about the abilities in terms of getting into people's heads. I feel that Raven does it a lot more often, and her abilities, her psychic abilities are just more devastating, is what people say. You know, she can mind rape people. In terms of Twilight Sparkle, she does have ways, you know, to get into people's heads by, you know, making, I think she made, like, parasites stop what they were doing or something like that. I could be getting that completely wrong, but it's more like very small decision-making or getting them to stop doing something. Whereas, you know, Raven is an empath through and through. She has, like, I believe multiple ways of, like, mind raping someone or whatever, and she can even do this thing where, like, I believe she makes people unconscious, just by, you know, like, getting into their heads deep enough. And I feel like with her more varied psychic abilities and, you know, empathic powers, I feel like that's going to cause much more of an issue for Twilight Sparkle than the other way around. Yes, it might be able, like, Twilight Sparkle's abilities might be able to catch Raven off guard, maybe, like, once or twice, but I feel like once Raven starts going, you know, with her whole, mind abilities, I feel like, Twilight Sparkle doesn't really have any sort of way to counter it, and I'm not, like, I don't believe she's, like, really susceptible to mind magic or whatever, but I don't really think she has any sort of resistance to it. Maybe she has a spell that would resist it. Again, I'm really not sure overall, because I haven't watched the show, but I feel like Raven's psychic abilities are just more powerful. I feel like they would do more damage, and in this fight, I really feel like it is more mind over matter. Because I'm not, like, really, when you think to Raven, she doesn't really use strength to her advantage, like, at all, and really not speed either. Sure, she can teleport, and I think she has been able to use speed to her advantage sometimes, but she's more or less just using, you know, energy blasts and psionic abilities to mess with people. And some other abilities, you know, like she can project her soul self, I believe that's what it's called. She even has, like, some sort of healing factor, which could help her. That's another thing that I think, from what I understand, you know, leaving the Toon Force out for a second, Twilight Sparkle doesn't really have, like, a healing factor. With the Toon Force she might, but again, not really sure how that works. But then Raven, you know, she actually does have a healing factor, which could prolong the fight in her favor. But yeah, I just feel that her psionic abilities, they're just more varied and more powerful than Twilight's abilities could be. The other main reason why I feel that Raven would win is because she's just more powerful. I feel like what she's been able to do with her abilities, they just outshine Twilight's in terms of overall power. Twilight Sparkle, as I've said, is very versatile. I would even go as far to say she is more versatile than Raven overall. But what I find, at least what I saw, is that her powers, there are a lot of them, but they're not really that powerful. Like, I believe she can cast a heat spell, but that doesn't really have anything to do with, like, burning people. It's more or less melting snow, I think. And again, you know, if that's the extent of her heat powers, then it's not really going to do that much damage to someone. It's more or less just going to irritate them at best. And this goes for a lot of other abilities. Yes, she does have offensive attacks and defensive attacks. Like, she can create force fields. She can shoot energy blasts. And she has a lot of other spells that, you know, can be offensive. But at the end of the day, I just feel that Raven, you know, even though she does spend a lot of time suppressing her powers, I feel like once she really gets going, she can get really powerful. Remember, this is a battle to the death. I know that Raven, you know, doesn't really like tapping into, you know, Trigon's power or whatever, but when it comes to a battle to the death where, like, your life is on the line and you will do whatever it takes to win, I feel like that power could arise. It's like Thor with Warrior's Madness, even though, you know, I don't really think he's like, you know, no, I never want to use this or anything like that. Raven is more hesitant to tap into the power. But I still feel that, you know, if the situation like a death battle occurs, I feel like Raven would be willing to do it if she really, really had to. And again, once she starts doing it, once she starts tapping into that power, I feel like she's just going to overwhelm not Pinkie Pie, Twilight Sparkle. Sorry, I'm still in Deadpool versus Pinkie Pie mode. But did I say Pinkie Pie any other time throughout this video? I hope not. But, you know, I feel like Raven, she's just going to get more powerful. Her psychic abilities are probably going to get more powerful. And I feel like she's just going to overwhelm Twilight Sparkle. And again, Twilight Sparkle does have a lot of ways to defend herself, but a lot of her abilities, I find, are more so in terms of, physical abilities, not necessarily mental abilities, at least for the most part. She does have, like, a number, like, or some mental abilities, but not a lot. Whereas Raven, again, she really specializes in that kind of thing. And I feel, again, this is just mind over matter. I think that if Raven's able to get into Twilight Sparkle's head, that could end the fight. And the last reason I'm going to bring up for Raven is just that I feel like she has much more experience. From what I've gathered, I think really the only big-scale fight or high-scale fight that Twilight Sparkle has ever been in was against, I'm sorry if I butcher this name, Tyrek, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but that guy. She fought him, and I believe she had help. Like, she was able to, like, tap into her friend's powers or whatever, or, like, she was able to get power from the help of her friends. She wasn't even able to do it by herself. Maybe she has been in some other fights, but I don't think it was that high scale. Whereas Raven, whether she's alone or whether she's by herself, when she's fighting she fights very powerful bad guys from the DC universe. That's the thing about comics. In terms of comics, you fight characters that, like, break physics. You fight characters that are so overpowered, when you compare it to a regular person. And I know that, again, I get that My Little Pony is a cartoon, and you can do crazy things in cartoons too, but comics can get pretty crazy as well. And she just has more experience actually fighting. This ties in again to the fact that a lot of Twilight Sparkle's abilities aren't really that powerful. She doesn't really use them a lot in terms of offense. Again, she has a heat spell for melting snow. Could that be handy? Yes, but does it really help in a fight? Not really, I'd say. Whereas Raven, again, she was born like a demon. It's almost like she was made to fight. And it does seem kind of weird, saying, that Raven would win, just because, how do I even explain this? It's like, if they were to pit someone like Raven up against someone like Pinkie Pie, not Pinkie Pie, Twilight Sparkle, I'd be more lenient, like, towards, Twilight Sparkle, just because I'm thinking, why would they do that if, like, Raven would be so, like, I don't even know what I'm saying, but, it's almost like Raven is the obvious choice when you look at the characters and, like, what they're known for. Like, Raven is actually a fighter, and Twilight Sparkle is like, a very powerful pony. But I do honestly believe that, that Raven would win this fight. And, maybe, I guess Twilight Sparkle, when you really look at it, she's not that weak or anything. She is very powerful. But I do feel that Raven is going to be the winner of this fight. That's just me, though. Again, this could be my own personal biases. This could be just because I'm not really aware of what Twilight Sparkle is able to do. If Twilight Sparkle wins, I won't be surprised. It'll be because, I'm just I'm not connecting some dots that I really should be, or I'm just missing something completely, which is very possible because I haven't done a crap ton of research like Death Battle needs to do. But basically, because she has better psionic abilities, because she's overall more powerful, and because of her experience, I feel like Raven is better suited to win this fight. Okay, I really have to stop. Twilight Sparkle is very powerful in terms of versatility. She can do a lot of things with her abilities, but I feel with her spells, but I feel like she just doesn't have the power to compete with Raven. And a lot of her abilities again are more physical, whereas Raven has a healing factor if she does somehow get hurt, and I feel that her psionic abilities will prove a problem for Twilight Sparkle. And if Raven taps into her father's power, which I feel like she could, then I feel like Twilight Sparkle could be in trouble. Again, if Twilight Sparkle wins, I won't be surprised, because it's probably because I'm missing something, but based on the limited knowledge that I have, my prediction is that Raven is going to win this fight. But what do you guys think? This video actually went much longer than I thought it was going to. Maybe it's just because I ramble on, because I always do that. But what do you guys think? Who do you think is going to win? If you think that Twilight Sparkle is going to win, that's great. Let me know in the comments below why. Even though I really want to be right here, because I don't want my prediction to go back down to where it was before, or my prediction record to go back down to where it was before. But, if Twilight Sparkle wins, that's cool. Then I learned something. But, tell me why you think Twilight Sparkle will win. If you think that Raven would win, and I just didn't mention it or anything, or if you want to say, I agree with you or whatever, tell me in the comments below too, because I'd like to know what you guys think. And if you guys enjoyed this video, please give this video a huge like. I always appreciate the likes. Comment down below what you thought of it, everything that I said before, any other comments you want to comment down. And if you could subscribe to my channel, guys, that'd be so great. That would really help my channel out. I make Death Battle predictions whenever I know some things about the characters being used. If I've like literally never heard of the characters before, or I have heard of them but I just don't know a lot about them, then I won't do it. But you know, I do try to make as many prediction videos as I can, and I do Death Battle reaction videos. But your view is plenty of contribution anyway, so thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I hope you guys have a great day. So see you later and have a good night.